Throughout this class, we have been discussing many learning theories. The theory that I will be highlighting for this project is the social theory of learning. Social constructivism believes that in order to have a complete understanding of the content, one also has to understand the community and the culture that that content is used in. John Brown states in his article, thus, students may pass exams, a distinctive part of school cultures, but are still not able to use the domain's conceptual tools in authentic practice. In other words, the students learn the content, but do not fully understand how that content is applied outside of the classroom. This theory of learning is based on a social perspective and helped me to process my powerful learning experience I had while I was studying abroad in the country of Greece. The rest of this presentation will show you how I began my trip to Greece during my sophomore year, while also highlighting some of my more interesting adventures I had once I got to the country of Greece. My powerful learning experience really began at the end of my sophomore year at Lake Forest College. I had heard about the Greece program and discovered it would fulfill some of my credits for my communications major and would give me a minor in sociology and anthropology. At this point, I had never been to Europe, and I thought, why not? As a part of the Greece program, all students have to take a 6-week class on campus where you receive a brief overview of all the content you will cover in Greece. You have 2 main books, the Histories and Ancient Greece, a Political, Social, and Cultural History, which takes you through the Bronze Age, moving to the Classical era and ending with the Byzantine Age. In both of these books, I read about things like the development of the Bronze Age, the building of the Acropolis in Athens repeatedly, the beginning of the Olympic Games in Olympia, the adventures of Alexander the Great, and the birth of the Byzantine Empire. They were still just barely scratching the surface of the content I was going to learn once I got to Greece. At the end of the on-campus class, everything I had learned so far were still just things out of a book. I had no physical idea of what these places were like in real life, or what they looked like, etc. I was very excited to finally be able to get to Greece and see these places I'd been reading about for so long. Upon my arrival in Greece, the first thing I did was travel to Athens to check into my hotel. The bus from the airport actually drops you off in the middle of modern-day Athens, but as you walk around the city, you come face to face with ancient Athens in the middle of modern-day Athens, such as Hadrian's Arch, which is located on a main highway in downtown Athens. Even after all these years, the centerpiece of modern-day Athens is still the Ancient Parthenon. Reading about the Parthenon and seeing it in person are 2 very, very different things. It's amazing how much of the building they've actually been able to preserve, considering it's been bombed repeatedly by the Romans and the Persians. Speaking of bombings on the Parthenon, both of the books we had to read prior to coming to Greece spent a lot of time discussing the wars that occurred in Athens and the destruction that had been done to the Parthenon. To this day, you can still see the bomb impressions that have been left on the side of the stone walls of the Parthenon. Our professor actually knew one of the archaeologists who has been working on the Parthenon, and she was able to take us inside where no tourists are allowed to see the inside. This might have been one of the coolest things I was able to do while I was in Greece. You could actually walk the hallways of the Parthenon and see where the giant statue of Athena once stood. Moving on from Athens, another powerful learning experience occurred in Olympia. The ancient site of Olympia is extremely well preserved, and you can still see the columns that made up all the ancient buildings, although some have fallen as seen here. Imagine trying to move those column pieces without modern day technology. It's amazing to see what these people could do. The Olympic Games were born in the city of Olympia, and they started out as a part of the Pan-Hellenic festivals. These festivals functioned as rituals and sacrifices to the gods such as Zeus or Athena. Athletic contests were a part of these rituals, and to this day, you can still run across the field in Olympia. As I said before, I also studied the Bronze Age, which historians tend to call the birthplace of civilization. A main center of activity during the Bronze Age was the city of Mycenae. It was a military stronghold on the southern half of Greece and was said to be home to King Agamemnon of the Iliad. One of the things you always read about in the Bronze Age books is the Lion's Gate, which is the entrance to Mycenae. The pictures of it in the book were old, grainy, and in black and white. Seeing it in person gave me more perspective on the largest sculpture from the Bronze Age. It was also amazing to see how large it was. An area we were all excited to go see was the site of ancient Sparta. The movie 300 had come out the previous year, so my class had high expectations for the site. We all wanted the chance to stand where King Leonidas stood and yell, "This is Sparta." What we found when we got there was not very exciting. As you can see, there isn't much left of ancient Sparta. As our professor began to explain to us, the ancient Spartans had a warrior culture and society. They didn't put a lot of effort into things such as architecture like the Athenians. My professor did his best to show us some of the Spartan theater. Unfortunately, much of it has been destroyed. The only artifact that truly symbolizes ancient Sparta is the modern-day statue of King Leonidas. The statue honors King Leonidas and the brave Spartan warriors that helped to defend Greece against the Persian Empire. The statue still serves as a symbol of honor for many modern-day citizens of Sparta. Thankfully, our trip to Sparta wasn't a total waste. Just a couple miles away is the site of Mistras. Located on the side of a mountain, Mistras served as one of the grandest cities across the Byzantine Empire, and it was also here that the last Byzantine emperor was crowned king. In conclusion, being in Greece and surrounded by all these amazing sites gave me a different learning perspective than just reading about them in books. It's also been very interesting to apply the social learning theory to how I learned the information while I was in Greece. I know I'll never forget this trip, and I'll continue to use it in my studies.